pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of August 22nd. Roll call, please.
Caprows. Possession.
Here.
Giannotti.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
You've got the minutes from the last meeting in your packet. Does anyone have any changes? If not, can we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Possession.
Abstain?
Giannotti.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Okay, we have no clerk's report. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the board? Okay, under my report, I went out actually with Bob Barber. There was a home in the township that's being built with a sprinkler system. But during the new construction, they're putting a sprinkler system in. Bob and I decided to go out and take a tour of exactly how they're doing that. It was actually pretty cool. Bob kind of geeked out over the specifics, so he can get into the specifics of how it was all piped in. But we wondered how they were going to do it on a well and septic. They have a 300-gallon tank in the basement, and it needs 330 gallons in order to have 2 sprinkler heads go for 10 minutes. So the 300-gallon tank, by the time it starts to, the level drops enough, there's enough time for another 30 gallons to come in from the well. But otherwise, this humongous tank is what feeds the system. Do you want to tell them anything about it?
You learned a lot there, didn't you?
I did. It was cool.
They have heads now that are childproof, and they recessed in the wall. They actually pop out when the head goes off instead of the old heads that we see that are outside. If you whack them, they might go off. So there's advances in the sprinkler system that they were proud to show us.
Yeah, they had been asking, they have a couple of very active children, and their basement is sprinklered, so they were trying to see if there were any cages that covered it, and there were only third-party companies that do that. They said most of the cages that surround it aren't really good enough to maybe take a basketball to it, but there are some companies that actually provide some things that would protect the sprinkler heads in the basement. So
I asked about RPZ valves and such, but there's an air gap between the tank and the well that empties into the tank, so they don't need an RPZ valve, which is a big savings because RPZs are hard to maintain.
yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I was glad I went. So this is kind of addressed to the public, so I'm going to address it to the cameras. We have gotten a few complaints, not too many, but a few complaints from citizens that call after hours and leave code enforcement complaints. This particular one that we had was regarding a pond, and they were a little distressed by the third phone call that we got this month. They must have called in June and then again in July, and then this month I got the voicemail. And they were a little concerned about the fact that no one had addressed the complaint in the first place. But the problem was they call after hours, leave a voicemail with no phone number, and block their number when they call. So we've had a few times this has happened, and the first complaint, we act on these things right away. We have a great code enforcement officer that takes care of these things, but if we don't have contact information for you, we can't let you know what's going on. I think in the first case, there had been problems with the chemicals in the pond, so the people in charge of the pond, and it's not a village pond, had to go out and treat it first with chemicals, and you can't mow the grass around it while you're treating it for algae. So that took a while. And then by the second time, I think they weren't quite finished with it, so by the third time, they were able to go out and cut the grass and the weeds. But we'd be happy to update you about these things if you just give us some contact information instead of thinking that we're just ignoring it. So just a note, just leave us your voicemail, your phone number. We'd be happy to leave you a voicemail, just letting you know what we're doing. The last thing on my report is apparently Ashley Woodman is interested in joining the Youth Commission to replace Kim Wojciechowski. So if someone would like to make a motion to make that appointment?
I will make a motion to appoint, Ashley Woodman to the Youth Commission replacing Kim Wojciechowski.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Kraus.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yeah.
Terry.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
All right. Finance and Administration Committee, trustee session.
Thank you very much. So first off, job description manual being rewritten. The jobs themselves have not changed, but the laws governing how workers' compensation is administered have changed, which requires a rewrite of this manual. The manual has been through departmental reviews and will soon be given to the labor attorney for his review, prior to review by the committee and then the village board. Next up, personnel manual being updated as well. Again, many laws have changed since the 2018 update, so it is time to update this manual as well. The manual covers everything concerning our employees except for what is contained in collective bargaining agreements. This manual is in the process of being reviewed by each of the departments, and then it too will be reviewed by the labor attorney before given to the committee for review. This will be one of our larger winter projects. Finally, committee meeting to occur after the regular board meeting, so a workshop can occur on the use of ARPA funds. All trustees are invited and encouraged to stay for this committee meeting after the board meeting. And that concludes my report.
All right. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, trustee Giannotti.
Thank you. Let's see here. So the village acquires a 3.21 acre parcel at Eagle Lake and Mohegan? Monhegan. Wow. Shows how good I am. I've been practicing that one. We purchased it for $791 in closing costs and are now going through the tax exempt process. The village could use it as for an elevated tank, since this is some of the highest ground in the village, and we do have problems with water pressure in this area. But we do not need to use all the acreage for this purpose. So in the future, we will be discussing other potential uses for the property. It is currently zoned B3 general business. Second on here, consider a resolution of declaration of surplus property of the address of 652 Penfield Street. This resolution also has to be published in the local paper prior to accepting an offer of sale. The offer must be 80% of the appraised value. See the enclosed resolution. Can I get a resolution number?
It is 2022-06.
22-02-06.
Yeah, 2022, like 2022-06.
I'm gonna write this down, sorry. It's 2.
022
2022.
hyphen
He put the
06.
jacket on, saying,
06.
turn them all off.
Yeah.
He's got one in his work shirt, I'm sure.
06? Okay, geez, I may have an extra number. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution, right? Of 2022-06, declaring 652 Penfield Street as surplus property.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Possession,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yep.
Kraus.
Yes.
Okay, and 3 local churches are planning an Oktoberfest in Fireman's Park on Sunday, September 18th, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Burgers, brats, and dogs, as well as Evil Horse beers, will be provided by Sit and Bull for sale. This will be free admission, and the whole community is invited to attend. And that will conclude my report.
Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. The August 25th meeting of the Beecher Planning and Zoning Commission has been canceled due to lack of agenda. The CMAP releases the July 2022 community snapshot based on the projection it makes off of the 2020 census data. The report is enclosed for your review. And that's all I have.
Okay. Public Safety Committee, trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. The first draft of our new police commission ordinance has been enclosed for everybody to review. We're continuing to work on chapters 4, which is for part-time, promotional, and then chapter 5 is part-time. So that stuff's still being worked out, and as we get it, we'll update with you as soon as we have the rest of that stuff. We had the cop on top on last Friday, that was at the Dunkin' Donuts, so I'd like to thank the EMA department and the fire department all our police officers that actually came there and donated time. We actually had, it was a multi-jurisdictional thing with Village of Crete, so Crete's Police Department was there too. In total, they raised just a little over $4,000 for Special Olympics, so commend everybody that was there doing that. Also too, like to commend Corporal Sipple. He's been, if you've seen him out over the weekends, he's been donating his time, driving around in the golf cart, doing some community policing for us too, so. Chief, do you want to update us on our pedestrian crosswalk detail?
Sure. So, good evening, President Meyer and members of the village board. As I reported at the last meeting, we were doing details at the Miller Street crosswalk. So the Miller Street crosswalk has obviously a painted crosswalk across Dixie, and it's got the two lights on both sides. You press the button and people are supposed to stop. Now remember, you don't need to have lights there. You need to stop for any crosswalk for a pedestrian in a crosswalk. So it doesn't have to have lights there, but this has lights because it's high volume. We have one on Penfield by the grade school, and we have one on Church Road at the middle school. So earlier this month, we monitored it for a short time and we wrote 30 warnings. We had so many violations that we couldn't stop all the people. We just hadn't have enough officers. So on the 10th of August, we did another detail and we wrote 18 tickets. Again, we ran out of officers to keep writing the tickets. So after the end of the last meeting, Trustee Kraus approached me and asked if we could do some kind of education for the kids, so the students know how to use the crosswalk. You know, press the button and walk there, you're gonna get hit. You know, you press the button, you wait. And SRO Hanson, based on Trustee Kraus's request, did a video and provided it to all the teachers, and it's on the school's websites. So the teachers and the students can view the video. We had a lot of positive feedback that came back from it, so thank you for the suggestion. One other thing, we have, there's gonna be a fire truck pull on October 9th at the fire station. So it's gonna be 5-person teams. Already got 4 police, Bob's one of the policemen. We got 5 police, 4 police, we need 1 more. And you compete against other teams from the fire department. I mean, we really wanna beat the fire department, so. It's gonna be October 9th at 2 o'clock. It'd be great if y'all could sit down and make it, and it'd be a nice thing. The fundraisers for Special Olympics again. We expect it to be a good turnout. It's the first one, and fire chief is the one who's putting it together.
5 people?
5 people, we need 1 more. 5 people.
No, I'm taking teams of 5. Let's see. Just going around counting. Just counting. Marcy,
You want John on it?
you can anchor us.
I'll anchor you.
I was gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, up to 5, right there.
We'll split
Thanks,
the
Chief.
board in half and
And thank Director Heim too. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if you or if Dale, but I heard you guys were out on the golf cart as well on one of the weekends too, a couple weekends ago. So thank you very much for everybody's having fun with that. That concludes my report.
Couple questions. I've had a lot of people ask me if they're supposed to stop at the crosswalk, why do they blink yellow and not red? And my answer to them is that's what IDOT says they have to be.
I believe that.
Is that the correct
Yeah,
answer?
that's correct.
Okay, so for the benefit of the camera and the public watching, IDOT specifies the color of the light flashing. It can't be red, it's gotta be yellow.
Yeah, these
You
are
stop.
approved by, these are IDOT
Right.
approved crosswalk lights, the lighting system. And they're all over the state, they're exactly the same way, anywhere you see them. They're the exact color, you know, yellow, so yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Okay, and also, is there a possibility we could tag team with the fire department on their fire open house or the police open house that first Friday in October?
Sure.
So the public can go in and see the police building if they want to before they vote?
Sure.
I think that'd be great,
Yeah.
you know. It's the first Friday in October, and we talked about maybe closing Penfield and allowing them to park all their equipment in the street. We did that one year, it was a very successful event, but then people can go look at the building if they want.
Is that when they do their safety, they do like a safety?
Yeah, the helicopter lands in the back, it's their
Yeah,
fire
they have
prevention week.
Yeah.
But if we could piggyback with them and have an open house the same like they do, we could get a crowd down there looking at the building.
The bit. And our brand new squad car was just put in service, and we expect our next squad next month.
And also, this is hot off the press. I assume it's still under public safety yet. This was the first draft of the design of the public work, or the police station, based on input from the chief, because you and I sat down with them, when was it, last Wednesday? So you could go through this thing and make recommendations. So now it's ready to go to the committee and to the police officers for review, for their input. So, public safety committee, building committee, and police officers can now review this print and move on from there. And all the board members, David.
Thank you, Bob. Also, trustee Giannotti, are we on that, church thing? Do you have anything going on that night? Are they doing that, or not?
I only got the request about it when Patty first gave me the request on them having it.
Yeah,
I
the
don't,
Oktoberfest,
Bob might
I
have more
don't believe
details.
they do bingo for that. I don't believe they
Maybe
do.
we'll do bingo that day too.
That would be a question, yeah.
It's the
If
churches that make
if they,
it.
allow- I mean, that's right,
Yeah.
if they allow, okay. Thank you.
Do you need a license to do that?
Technically,
For
they
bingo?
do, but I wasn't gonna bring that up.
Apply for a
Throw
license.
the cat out of the bag on that
Yeah.
one. I don't think we can edit this.
We can apply for a license.
I don't think we can get a license.
Oh, we
No.
We get it through the
It's got a
Lions Club.
501c3
It
corporation.
has to be
that's
in a-
applied
So
for.
it'd have to be the.
There's nonprofits in town.
Lions Club.
Traditionally, no, we get it from the Lions Club. But the
Uh,
volume they're
well,
pushing through.
5013, Special Olympics, a 501(c).
Oh, there you go. You probably get it through them.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Public Works Committee, trustee Kraus.
Thank you. Lead service line, update. One more lead line was found and replaced. Restoration of the project is near completion. Pretty much it, right?
Yeah, we did find one more lead line this morning that was grouped in with the Gould Street water main replacement project. So that one will be replaced here shortly as well. But yes, the restorations will be taking place in September due to the fact of when they were doing them before, it was way too hot out and the sod was dying pretty much right away. So the engineer had them halt all restoration work, and that will resume again in sometime in September.
Gould Street water main replacement project. Almost all the services have been switched over and the new main should be ready for use sometime this week. Restoration on this project will then begin. There has been a great deal of confusion for the residents living on Gould Street who have had their parkway and front yard dug up twice in the last 2 months. First, the lead line investigation and replacement, and then the crossover to the new main. Both projects have separate contractors and engineers, and coordination has been difficult at best, and the residents along the 700 block of Gould have experienced many inconveniences. This should be coming to an end soon. Matt, Bobby?
Yeah, well, and I've heard from everyone.
Yeah, that we have.
And they have a legitimate beef. I mean, if I was a resident, why are you digging up my front yard?
Again.
Restore it, tell me to water it, so I go out there and water it, and then I come back from work and it's torn up again, you know? I understand the frustration, and I explained to the people that 2 separate jobs, 2 separate contractors, it's the only block in town that had an overlap, and it's very unfortunate.
And then well 3, we did this last meeting, still the same information. Anybody have any questions on it? Okay. Penfield update, we learned that Square D of Wilmington has been hired as a subcontractor to replace the bridge. The pre-con has not yet been scheduled, but we are working toward a groundbreaking in early spring of '23. Utility relocation is occurring this year. Consider a proposal in the amount of $6,240 from Affordable Concrete Raising for the 2022 sidewalk program. This is to Mudjack selected locations in the enclosed proposal. This proposal is obtaining village board approval since it is over $5,000 and exceeds the budgeted amount of $1,240. So I'd like to make a motion on the amount of $6,240 from Affordable Concrete for the 2022 sidewalk program.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I just have one explanation. Todd said budgeted amount of $1,240, that's a budgeted amount over by $1,240. So just so there's no discrepancy there. That's it.
And another question I have is, the sidewalk in front of the police station part of this mudjacking, and should be added?
It
I was
wasn't.
over there last week, there is a huge gap between the slab of the building and the sidewalk, and we've already had one confirmed trip of somebody walking into that, and I'm wondering if that should be looked at. Do you agree?
I agree with you, but I'm hoping that we get a new police station.
Well, even if we do, that building's still gonna be there, and it's a trip hazard.
Yeah, but that's all gonna be replaced with the Penfield Street project, that's why,
That's correct.
that's why we
Okay,
weren't
that's
doing
why
any,
we're waiting.
that's why we weren't doing anything on Penfield.
That's a good answer,
Yeah.
you're right, okay.
Okay. There was a motion and a second. Was there any further discussion? Roll call?
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Genati,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay. Economic Development and Community Relations Committee, trustee Session.
Thank you again. First off, summer concert series update. Since the last meeting, an afternoon of polka fun was held on August 14th. I like the way this is written, Bob. And an update will be provided. The next and last concert of the 2022 season will be held on Saturday, September 3rd. So just a few notes there. Polka night was a big hit, as I understand it. It was so well attended that food ran out fairly early. And that was even though we unfortunately had no alcohol for sale. I believe we've already received requests to invite the group back for another concert next year. So, nice, I think we had a nice night there. Next and final concert will be the Critical UVs, and as far as I recall, the Beecher 4th of July Commission will be selling food and drink available for purchase. And then we will soon be beginning the planning for next year's events as well.
What are the times for?
6 to 9 for the concert on the 3rd.
And we're talking about adding,
Yes, we're talking about adding bingo from 4 to 6. It's crazy out there.
Very good. All right. Continued discussion on a proposed list of Christmas holiday events. So, I know there was a good update provided last time. So since then, the parade and tree lighting are currently aimed at Sunday, November 27th. The BYC intends to hold a holiday kids movie event, they've confirmed, and they're currently looking at December 10th for that at the community hall. I think we're tentatively planning on doing a home decorating contest, administered online by the village, where people could maybe submit their home, their holiday decorations, and people can vote. Maybe you win some bragging rights.
Just a question I've got, is that just in the village limits, or would that be school district wide?
I don't see any reason we would have to constrain it. At this point, we're not talking about having any significant prizes, it's mostly just, you've got the best lights, the best display, so why not, the more the merrier, I say.
Sign.
The sign, like official, maybe, yeah,
Like first, second, and third place.
I like
Can
it.
we maybe loosen some of the rules so I can get some real reindeer on my lawn? I don't think that's permitted in the village.
I don't know if reindeer are even officially written into any of the codes, maybe they
I
don't
like the
say
way you
reindeer.
think, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't believe we have defined reindeer as livestock.
Not on Christmas.
Flying reindeer, of course, by the way.
What is the date of the tree lighting?
The 27th, Sunday, November 27th.
It's the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes. And so we are looking for that, basically to have a light parade leading into it. We would like to have some, basically what we've been calling Santa's Workshop, with maybe some family activities to take part in for the kids, as they go through there. And kind of tentative right now, we're talking about a start of all activities from around 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening. We really still need to hammer a lot out, with some of the other organizations and make sure it all comes together, but that's what we're thinking. I think, Joe, did the 4th of July, were they on board with serving food at that, as we had talked about?
we were gonna talk about that in a meeting
Next
next
meeting?
Wednesday,
Okay.
so yeah, we'll talk about that next Wednesday,
Okay.
yeah, tentatively, yes.
Right, so potential. And we've got a lot of other kind of neat ideas. There's a talk Bob came up with of a cool one of what we're gonna call like a Christmas studio for like TikTok, Instagram, where families can take pictures and, basically have some fun little selfie spots. So a lot of cool ideas coming on that one. and then we're working with various other organizations in town. And I guess just the current, calendar of dates we have is our November 27th with the parade and this tree lighting. December 10th, we have the Holiday Kids movie from the BYC. December 11th will be the Lions Breakfast with Santa. December 13th is the new day for the senior holiday dinner from the township. And then on December 24th, the Beecher Fire Protection District will have Santa and his fire truck ride going through town.
And we'll come up with a calendar
Yeah.
and post it in our newsletter.
Right, and so probably I wouldn't be surprised if some things get added there too. Any kind of community holiday events, I think we'd like to include in our itinerary. So any questions on that? It's a lot of information, I know. I said more than I intended to. Elected official economic development training summit is scheduled for Tuesday, August 23rd at 7:30 a.m., AKA tomorrow. Registrants will be carpooling from the village hall at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. As of now, myself, Marcy, and Roger are going on behalf of Beecher. The summit is being held at the Frankfurt Village Hall. And finally, consider an application for a DCEO Festivals grant with a 50% match for Summer Concert Series 2023. If we wanted to do 6 concerts next year at $7,500 each, that would be $22,500 for the village and $22,500 from the grant. We have to ask for at least $15,000 and provide $15,000 as a match. A copy of the NOFO is enclosed. The board can decide what it wants to do. Applications are due September 23rd. As a side note, the village asked for $67,000 for the 2022 4th of July celebration in round 1 of this grant program and was turned down last year. That application was very strong, but our successful 2021 financials hurt our rating. The village concerts do not have profit and loss statements. So, I don't see any reason not to request a grant. It would be very nice to have a larger bucket to pull from for these events. When you start planning these, you see that the bands very quickly get more expensive, and so you're quite constrained with a low budget, so I think it would be nice. I think looking at some of the grant writing, I think it's gonna be a tough sell potentially, but I think we should maybe still go for it. I don't know, thoughts?
It's not gonna hurt to try, like Bob wrote in here about us trying with the 4th of July Commission. It was, it's worth a shot. I mean, does it cost anything for this one, Bob? So,
I just write and submit it, and I already in a template, because we did it for 4th of July, so
Yeah.
it's not that hard to submit.
And we did this at low cost when we're talking about the 22,500.
yeah,
I mean, that's bare minimum, that's just, I mean, if we wanna do other amenities, like.
yeah, that was just.
Have a bunk tank, or have like a little bounce house for the kids while they're doing the picnic, and, I mean, if we wanna have other things, it's gonna cost more.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
To have I guess I'll say a bigger event.
To try to continue growing it, yeah, we're gonna need to expand the budget from where we're at currently, so might as well try to get some.
What
grant
happens
money
with the
to do that.
15,000 that we put up? Nothing, if we don't get the grant, it's just still ours, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Still
Well, I mean, yeah,
towards the
that part-
contract.
Actually, it'll be 22.5 we budget, not 15.
right, no, right.
That'll give you some more money to play with next year. In fact,
Yeah.
I'd like to see it at 30, but that's up to you guys. I mean, I think if you get some bigger bands down there, you're gonna attract a big following.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if we do have some bigger bands and some bigger events, like Trustee Thierry's noted, it'd be very nice to be able to make more of an event out of activities, food and drink at all of the events. Having a bounce house or something for kids to play in would be probably fantastic, Parents can enjoy the music while the kids go crazy, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I go back to when the 4th of July had American English on stage. It was very expensive, but it packed the place. People came from everywhere to see the show, and if you're paying per head, the bang for the buck was the same for that as if you had 300 people show up for another event. But are these all Beecher people too? Who are you trying to attract at these events? Is this just for Beecher people, or are you opening it up to a more?
Did we go over our budget this year?
I don't believe
No.
so, I think we're a little under, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea that, I mean, if we're talking about if we didn't spend the 15, if we get the grant, we're literally doubling that. Why do we need, I mean,
the thing
we're
is,
talking about this, we're talking about what to do with the ARPA money next. We have a referendum coming up. I know this isn't gonna solve any part of all that, but I think it's the bigger picture where, why are we spending just to spend? Even if it's a little here or there, it's showing people that we're being fiscally responsible. We're talking about a grant that's literally gonna double the budget that we didn't go over this year. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents.
I think if we're doubling the budget, it's it's grant money, so I think it, like, we did bare minimum, you know what I mean? So if we only have, you know, I mean, we did one, you know, we did one band, you know, but then there was nothing else to do. You know, I mean, you have other, you
We're
know.
gonna have less events next year too, correct?
We're looking
I mean, are we
at,
doing all
It's
the Sundays
potential, I mean,
again?
nothing's in stone yet.
Yeah,
but
thirty.
it's
So we
something
don't
to
have
talk
to do
about.
6, if we went down to 4, then that would actually lower the budget too,
Yeah.
but still give us more of an event,
yeah,
you know.
I mean, you're talking about going from 15 to 30 if we get the grant, correct?
if we stay.
I personally say I'd like to see it, then if you guys disagree, then make it whatever number you want.
And I think it's also worth noting that
Yeah.
the money, the grant money, if it comes through, can be used, it looked like pretty widely for events, so I think we would have probably some options there.
If the grant comes through, you actually have 45.
But I mean, that could be used for bands, I think it can be used, actually, if we wanted to, there's a sound,
Production.
yeah, there's a lot of avenues that
problem
you
you-
could probably improve.
The problem you run into, and we run into this at 4th of July, is once you spend that level of money, you kind of set the bar.
Mhm.
So if you spend less next year, people notice it. So you gotta be careful not to, you know, once you commit to a dollar amount, you're kind of stuck there.
And it's,
Because
I
people have that level
yeah.
of expectation. you
If
know.
we do stuff for the 4th, it's earning the 4th of July commission money. This is just
Correct.
money that the village
Yeah.
and the board's putting out. And I don't wanna say we're not getting anything out of it, cause I went to several of the concerts and people looked like they're enjoying themselves. I think it's worth it, but, I mean, we're drawing a larger crowd from where? From Beecher, from other towns where?
That's the thing, what are you
Yeah.
trying to accomplish?
You know, that, I mean, we start
Yeah.
making this a fundraiser to pay for itself, and then we can do a little bigger budget or something, but I mean, you know.
I think I see where you're coming from on this, Todd. I do agree, and Bob's making a valid point as well. If we start going too far, the grant's here this year, is this the same style of grant as it was with 4th of July?
1
where
year.
it's- Oh, it's
Yeah.
only a single year,
Mhm.
yeah, so, I mean, you kinda gotta.
And the way the state is, it might be 24 before.
Exactly, so that's the thing, so maybe we do just stay where we're at on the budget currently. I mean, 30's extremely feasible to,
And there's
to
nothing
make
saying
it work.
that if you get the grant for 30 next, when we sit down and discuss next year's budget, if we get the grant and we have 15 and you're like, we need more, we can discuss that in budget
Yeah,
time
sure.
and add to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We
keep it
don't
at
have to
15 and
keep
ask
it-
for 15, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. 'Cause
I think
it's
that's fair,
50-50.
yeah.
Okay,
15
got
to
it.
15, yeah.
But that being said, I would like to, make a motion, I guess, do we need a motion for this one, or is this, we have an application here?
Consider an application, consider approving an application in the amount of 15,000.
All right, I'd like to consider, or make a motion to consider approving an application for a DCEO Festivals grant with a 2% match for Summer Concert Series 2023, at 15,000 village and 15,000 match.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Musician,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes,
Thank you. And finally, update on filming of referendum videos, which was provided at the meeting. Filming has started today, so we did select, the low bid contractor. I can't recall the name.
Pathfinder?
Pathfinder, thank you, off the top of my head. And so they started today. We've already recorded the first 3 videos, trustee Giannotti, the mayor, and trustee Thierry. And they are going to be coming back on Wednesday for a day of filming, so that we can get, comprehensive and good information on this out to the residents.
We completed the talking head portion. Was all taped in here.
So, I don't know if there's any questions on that, but otherwise, that concludes my report.
You'll be getting a rough cut to view probably. within
Yes, that's true. Yeah, we'll get a rough cut,
Yeah.
and then I imagine we'll probably have the opportunity to, make some, editing requests if we would like anything.
Okay. Any old business to come before the board?
do you wanna bring this up, Joe, or you want me to?
Oh, yeah, if you want to.
Go ahead.
Okay, just, everyone handling out at your, place here today, 4th of July Commission's inviting, all the members of the village board, as well as, the office staff here to our, appreciation dinner on October 7th at 6:30 at the Sportsman's Club, so if you're going to attend, please email Patty, or you can get a hold of me, and I'll make sure you guys are on the list. list, so. Appreciate all of your assistance through the festival and all of your participation.
Any new business to come forward?
I got one old business if I can. At the last board meeting, the board declared the 1984 step van as surplus, and we received 7 bids on it, and ranging from $450, and our highest bid was $7,151. So, yeah,
Oh, the
that,
highest bid.
yeah. So we went with the highest bid. So that money gets reverted back into the assessment account for future purchases, so just figured I'd update you on that.
Nice.
We knew there was gonna be some good money hopefully, but I mean, it exceeded what we thought, that's for sure, but,
See what we paid for.
yeah, which is good, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, any other old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn
Into the
into our, yeah,
committee workshop.
into the committee workshop?
I'll make the motion that we go into our committee workshop.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second, roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
United,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes.